Welcome to Galle, UNESCO World Heritage Site of epic proportions, up there with Venice in Italy. I'm not joking. How come you keep height? Our forefathers got off the ship and said, okay, here we are. The first point of call was to get into the fort. Hello.
We are fishermen.
Great.
We have tuna, you buy.
Beautiful. Okay. I love tuna.
You go to the market.
I love tuna. Yeah. All right, we will. Thank you. So at the entry here, you have the British coat of arms. Was the Dutch. Right down the bottom, there's still remnants of the Dutch because it says 1668. So they left a little bit. Yeah, but above it is the British coat of arms. So they changed it, and then you walk through here. And as they say, many a merchant hopped off the ship, Dutch and British merchants. And the moment they walked through this gate, they found the land of riches. And if we turn around, this is what makes this place unique, is on the other side, we still have the Dutch coat of arms. So what was society like? What was it actually like to live here? That's been part of my trip and journey, is to find out, to try and get a feel for what life was like here. And I tell you, probably the thing that I would jump to first to say, it was very status driven. So there was a definite social hierarchy, and usually started with kind of the highest end civil servants for the country or company. So that would generally start with the governor. So if you were the governor, you held the highest social status in the land, and then below that you would have your kind of other important company servants, like commanders of Jaffna, commanders of Galle, etc. Below that you had administrators, depending on how big the city was, then merchants, upper merchants, bookkeepers. If you had a role, even a clerk role with the government, especially under VOC, you had a good middle class life, and you probably had access to connections, money, land, riches. So that was probably the top end of the status. Then you had the rich businessmen and women that came, mostly men, let's be honest. And so if you came here representing a wealthy group of people and you were involved in trading and all of those kind of things, shipping, then you probably fitted seamlessly with the government people. And then you had your soldiers that were here, European soldiers, and also of a lesser rank probably, but actually that's not true especially under VOC. So the way the VOC organised their societies was a military society. So they had the commanders, the disarves. They were very high-ranking socially people, of the highest rank. And but I think with the British soldiers were probably of a lesser rank than of which I have many family members. Under Dutch rule, pomp and ceremony was definitely an elitist part of colonial history all around the world, like over the top stuff, right? Building massive houses with columns. It was also a sign of the times. In the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries, life was tenuous and there was poverty everywhere, and it was feudal in many areas of the world. So it was about being a gentleman and being civilized. So all of those trappings. So, the way that you dressed, the pomp and ceremony, how many elephants you had. When you got married, was the procession 500 meters long with 25 elephants and drummers and all of that kind of stuff. That's really what happened. Carriages, carts being taken around the city, carried by 10 people on a cart. That was the way it was for the upper echelons of this society. And probably, this has its totally dark elements to that, especially under the Dutch rule. Even though everyone I speak to here is very favourable of the Dutch. They say that we were nice, and history books show no gross atrocities here in Ceylon. But, slavery was a sign of status, and you know, an upwardly mobile Dutch family here in Galle, they might have 8 kids and they could have 15 slaves and another 10 kind of home help. So you could have a household of 30, 40 people. And the slaves came from everywhere: Africa, Asia, Indian subcontinent. And you know, it's a bit scary that there was a distinction between home help and slaves. So the slaves really, my interpretation of that is that they didn't get paid, had very few human rights, etc. But you know, it was a sign of the time. It's not forgiving it, but the Portuguese, the Dutch, the English, the Americans, everywhere, even the locals, slavery was a scourge off that millennia, I think, probably even further back. So yeah, this building on the right. No, thank you. What do you reckon that?
He also trying to be
just inside the Galle Fort, and this is an unbelievable area of historical value because you've got kind of a quadrangle here, and you've got the courts that have been here for 350 years, and you've got hospital right down there. Now, during Dutch times, this was a pretty brutal place to be, especially this area in here. This is where capital punishment was meted out, so there were beheadings, hangings, so many different things. That, you know, the law in Dutch times was probably unfair, to be honest. It was really about keeping civil obedience. It wasn't until the Brits came in that and they brought their legal system with them, and we have the magistrates court, the high court over there. We had a relative, Hendrik Andre, who was a magistrate in about 1810, 1815, under British rule. Dutchman under British rule. He was a local magistrate here. And because of the open kind of aspect to it, everyone would just come here and listen to different cases. It was open in the air, and it was a very communal show. And look, with the hospital being down there as well, a lot of bad things happened around here. If the ghosts could talk, we're looking at between plagues, corporal capital punishments, tropical diseases, malaria. Thank you, Indigo. High Court worked differently to the Magistrates Court. The Magistrates Court were often run by just high-ranking civil servants, whereas if you went to the Supreme Court and the High Court, they were all kind of barristers and solicitors, fully trained people getting involved in the law. I love this. We've got the lawyer consultation rooms. So just before they head into the magistrate court, there are all the lawyers there doing their gig. Very serious set of dudes. Serious stuff.